Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
Right as you take a drink. Yep. I am good, other than I was just telling you I'm having allergy issues, but it'll be okay. Actually, you'll be happy to know tomorrow I'm finally going to a new ENT for my ear thing because I think it's all connected.
Ooh, I bet it is. You had that
forever, and it was like gone, and then it's been back for like the last couple months. So I'm going to somebody that Dr. Ryan referred me to, so I'm really excited because he's supposed to be really good. So
yeah. So does that just come and go with you, or do you have it all the time where your ears? I mean, it's kind of like go right or something.
Yes. No, it just comes and goes. Like, I don't know what it is. So I'm hoping to get some answers tomorrow, but it's just like when I fly, if I'm congested when I fly, it happens. So I don't know what the deal is. But speaking of flying, I saw Anna posted, that little Amelia is brave.
She is. She says, I'm going to fly when I'm 9. She said, that's what my Popsy told me. They actually can fly when they're 9. Can you believe it?
Really? No.
Something? I know.
I cannot believe it. I thought she is like the bravest little thing I've ever seen. Just up there, like with her little hands, like going through the sky. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I know they went over some friends' houses and they tipped the wing a little. So she liked all that. I think Anna has to keep it interesting for her.
Oh, so fun.
That's hilarious. Okay. I seem like I was going to tell you something. Oh, I know. I was doing a talk for an office the other day. I've done so many lately. But anyway, she was talking about how she listens to our podcast all the time. So every time somebody tells me that, I'm like, gosh, we got to up our game.
I know. Well, no, I've been having so many people say it lately too. Oh, and I forgot I had one thing I wanted to tell you before we start too. I spoke at the Women's Council of Columbus Realtors last week in person in Columbus. It was so great. We had the best time. But some of them asked me about like my morning routine and supplements and stuff because several of them listened to the podcast. But I had to tell you, one of my new things I'm trying, we'll see how it goes. But like I've heard is all the rage and all the hype right now is grass-fed cow colostrum.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
I figured you had. Okay.
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I was taking like pills, like 8 in the morning. It was like a bunch.
Oh,
but
wow.
But now I get it in the powder and I put it in my drink. As many things as I can put in my drink, I like to put in my drink. But yeah,
that's what I'm doing. The powder in my water in the morning. Yeah, they're saying all kinds of great things about it. But then somebody said, "Well, are you depriving like the baby cows of the nutrients?" I was like, "Oh, good question. I'm not sure."
Oh yeah, there's that side of everything. Global warming and hurting the animals and all those things we're not thinking about. You know what?
Because we're trying to look younger.
Yeah, God bless those little baby cows. They look young enough. We're the ones that need help. That's funny. I don't know. That's a deep question. Tell them to stop asking those hard questions.
I know.
Let's just get the health thing right, and then we'll figure out all the rest. It's one thing.
Right.
So you and I talked about this. So I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever been somewhere and it's like a really important meeting or whatever, and you don't say very much, but then when you do say something later, you think of all the high quality professional things I could have said, why did I say that? Or, I mean, have you ever done that?
Yes, I have done that. And I also do the opposite, which is like, I'll have this conversation and I won't say something. And then I'll wake up at 2 in the morning and I'm like, oh, and I should have said this.
Yeah. Well, that, or you don't say something and then someone else says it and they go, oh, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. Well, the reason we're talking about this conversation stuff today is I've had several instances lately where it's just, okay, that was one of them where I'm like, okay, Linda, why don't you think through and plan a little bit more what you're going to say? Because I think you have some really good thoughts. The problem is you don't think them through.
Right.
I get triggered or something. So, and I know we teach fierce and we should know better and all those things. But So it made me, and then plus there were just some different situations where conversations were being highlighted and you realize how important they are. So I
Yeah.
found this really great book. I just told you about it earlier, but it's called Talking on Eggshells. I want
Oh,
to get
yeah.
on our podcast. Her name is Sam Horn.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yep.
And, because Fierce does, if you take the Fierce class, you learn how to have a coaching conversation. You learn how to have a team meeting. You learn how to have a hard conversation to change someone's behavior.
Yep.
But there's moments when just in addressing certain things that you need help around, right? So this one's called Talking on Eggshells, Soft Skills for Hard Conversations.
Mm.
So I started reading it and I've just noticed like, okay, what happens? Conversations are so important
Mhm.
because I think if you don't do them correctly, you make the chasm even bigger.
Yeah.
And what I've really noticed about it, I went through a book and kind of picked out some of the pieces that I thought were definitely my issues, but other people I see too. One was it says, always like think about it. If you're going to have a conversation with somebody, plan in advance.
Mhm.
And I don't think we do that. We let the emotion build up around certain things and then we just have the conversation. And that's the worst way we could do it.
Yeah.
But so this one said plan in advance, talk to a therapist. I wrote down talk to a therapist, an adult,
Yep.
someone who has good conversations. Or I said you could always talk to Jim. Jim does a great job. I will
Yeah.
usually say to him, okay, this is what I want to say. How would you say it?
Yeah. I'd say that to Adam all the time too. That's so funny. Yes.
When I was going through her books, what I realized is I'm not paying attention to the words I choose.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
But one of the things it says, so here's what plan in advance means. Put your purpose in one sentence.
Mm.
Like if I'm going to have a conversation with you, what I really should do, other than what we're doing here, just kind of chatting it up or whatever, but if I need to have a conversation with you, I need to plan what is the purpose of the conversation? What do I want the outcome to be? She
Yep.
talks a lot about um, thinking about the outcome. Because what I've noticed about people is they talk around in circles and they talk emotional, and the person on the other end has no flipping clue anything that is either being said or that needs to be resolved. So,
Yep.
number one, put your purpose in one sentence, and that's harder to do than it sounds. You're going to have to really practice it. Number two, pen, learn their pen. Okay, I'll find out what the pen means. I can't remember, but the P stands for something, then the interest and the needs of the
Mhm.
person, right?
One reason why you're saying this, one thing I'm thinking of while you're saying this, I think it's always kind of sometimes difficult to have things come out the way that you mean them. But I love her book, and I'm almost wondering when she came out with this book or what the purpose of it was, because I feel like nowadays you do kind of talk on eggshells, especially around things, and really just over the last few years, because it's like sometimes you don't want to say something that might offend somebody or like them take it the wrong, you know what I mean? Or like them take it the wrong way, whether it's like in a political conversation or a diversity conversation or any of that stuff. It's like you almost really have to plan in advance and think of things that you want to say way ahead of time, because you don't want just I feel like people sometimes take things the wrong way now, when you don't even mean for them to take it that way.
Well, I think everybody's running such on high emotion
Yeah.
that farther away from emotion you can stay, the better.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
like one of the things she says in her book is don't repeat negative stuff because you just keep everybody in it. And that's
Yep.
one thing I notice people do is they just keep saying the same thing over and over that the person is doing, when
Yeah.
what we really should be doing is being clear and concise, giving as many great examples as we can, and then stating what we want to accomplish out
Yeah.
of it. So then the A is negative resistance and make it uh, a mute point. So
Yeah.
in other words, a non-issue. Anticipate resistance and make it a non-issue.
Okay.
So what resistance might come up in this conversation when I have it? Thinking
Mhm.
through that really, really helps. That's where I always um fierce always helps because they always say when you confront someone, they're typically going to deny, defend, or
Right.
deflect it. And then N is name a next direction. Like let's start pointing it in the next direction. Let's don't keep it going around and around and around the problem.
Yep. Yeah.
But name it in a new direction.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. How'd you find the book?
Well, I know how I found the book. Okay, so I get a newsletter from Joe Polish's Genius Network every month.
Right.
I have to be honest, I mostly don't read them, but I opened this one and I was sitting there reading it and I thought she must have done a talk. You do a 10-minute talk with her. And I thought, oh God, this is good. So I immediately looked her up and got her book. She has another book called Tongue Fu, which is how to deflect, disarm, and diffuse any verbal conflict.
Nice.
Happening. And then I think she has maybe one more. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff I want to see if she has a workshop, because I think a workshop would be really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you give like an example of maybe when somebody would use these, or?
So let's say it's typically let's say when you need to, and it would probably come up a little bit when you want to change behavior, but let's say situations deep. So let me add a couple of points first of kind of that I've heard. A lot of times, if you have to be careful, like what's really the truth. Like one of the things that she said, this was so good. Is it choose your battles? Is it trivial? I think this is what we don't do. We treat trivial stuff like it's major stuff.
Yeah.
And then is it a persistent concern? In other words, is it a pattern? Does it keep happening?
Yep.
And then what's the history of this situation? And is the behavior intentional or is it innocent? And out beside that one I wrote, or is it perception? Because what I've noticed is a lot of times there's other people. So and I've noticed myself doing this. Sometimes I have to be really careful. Like, let's say somebody brings me something that they think so-and-so is doing. I have to realize that's their perception of what it is. I can't jump on that bandwagon because I don't really have all the facts.
Right.
And what happens is, as a leader, let's say someone brought me a situation about you. Really what I should do is say, gosh, that's not really normally my experience with Dana. So I'm not really sure you have anything clear and specific that, because so many times it's the story somebody's already made up and now they're passing that story on to you.
Totally agree with that. Yeah.
So several of the times when I've, kind of been in situations where I'm trying to talk to someone, help them through something, you really have to ask great questions about, okay, is this firsthand? Are you getting this from someone else? And is this their perception? And then how did you handle it with them? Because you can either flame their fire and now you got a bigger fire, or you can put their fire out and then go handle whatever the issue really is. But I think people don't do that.
Yeah.
They jump on that person's bandwagon and now they're going to go tell this other person, what they should and shouldn't do, when they don't really have all the facts and they don't really have good, clear examples. And so I think that's really a good one. Asking yourself, is it someone's perception of their behavior?
I love that.
And then can or will it change? And this one's my favorite. Is it a short-term win and you're going to long-term lose the battle? This is the one I think people really mess up. They're willing to lose a long-term battle over a little short, tiff or something, instead of looking long-term or at the bigger picture and saying, gosh, let's see how we can salvage this or make this work so that for the better good of all of us in the long run.
I feel like that's because of emotion, how you talked about emotion earlier. Like sometimes people get so stuck in the emotion of it that they aren't willing to look at the long term for it.
One of the things she said is to think about like this. I love analogies where you can use stuff. So put your hand on your head and say, when I put my hand on my head, that means I'm going to state the facts. Avoid words like should. you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. And then put it on my heart. And this is how you feel. It should be how I feel, not how they should feel. And then you put it on the, like, your core of your stomach. And this is the how you wish for it to turn out. I want to know how you or another what you want to know from them is, what's your intention now? I want to know how you keep you're going to keep this from happening again. So it's like clear and concise. It gives them kind of what your core intentions are. So head means state only facts. Stay away from words like should or shouldn't or you should have. Heart means how I feel, not how they feel. You don't know how they feel, and don't try to describe it. And then core means the outcome. I want to know how you're going to keep this from happening again.
That reminds me of a little bit of the confrontation model in Fierce, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think what happens is too, the other thing I've noticed is people avoid a conversation. They avoid it, they avoid it, they avoid it, they avoid it, they avoid it. And then they have it and there's so much emotion behind it, when really what they should do is have it right away. The minute they notice the behavior, they shouldn't wait and let it build up and build up and build up. It should be immediate, and people procrastinate avoiding it.
Yep.
Till they get to a place. And I don't think most of us, unless you practice it a lot, are ready for the conversation. That's why taking some space and practicing and learning before you actually go have it, it's going to keep you out of, because once things go down a bunny trail of not good, it's hard to bring them back.
It's really hard. Yeah, I totally agree. I used to be so bad about this. I mean, so bad about this, because I would procrastinate to have the conversation because I didn't feel like I knew the right thing to say. And I would well, actually, that's part true. The other part is I always waited for like the perfect time for it. I'd be like, oh, I can't do it today because they had a hard day at work.
It's Friday and it's going to be Wednesday. It's going to be the weekend.
It's going to ruin the weekend. And then I would say, oh, well, I can't do it on Monday because it's going to make the whole week start off bad. Like, I was always waiting for the perfect time. And then it just kept delaying. Where now I've learned, gosh, it's so much better. Just like get prepared, but do it immediately. Otherwise for me, like it just weighs and weighs and weighs on you.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so hard to come back from. I think about, I still have one when I hired one of my first assistants, that I listened to everybody else in the office and I just like dump trucked on her. And it still bothers me to this day. If I could find the girl, I'd call her and just to get it off my chest and say, I am so sorry.
You talked about her for so long. We need to find her.
She still bugs me. I wish I could find her. I wish I'd run into her one day and say, oh God, I'm so glad I ran into you. I have an apology. But and when you know better, you do better, right? But
Yes.
I just think that because we have so many conversations, it should be one of our topics that we spend time and energy around. And, words matter, and how people feel after you use your words really matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. And one thing you said earlier about like people's perception, I've worked really hard over the last several years to what's the best way to say it? Like somebody may say something about somebody and that may be like their perception of them, like you said, but I try really hard to go off of my interaction with that person and like how they've been towards me, at least until they prove me otherwise. You know what I mean? Not to the point where you're naive, but like I try really hard to say, okay, but this is the way my interaction and my perception has been, instead of letting somebody else's perception automatically give me like a negative judgment of that person. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're not. I mean, I think you just kind of have to go by too, like your interaction and perception with people sometimes too.
Well, and I think even a step further than that is to say, is my perception correct?
Yeah.
The story I've made up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's the real actual conversation I need to have with them to to validate that what I'm saying is true. Oh, by the way, I found the pin. Learn their pin on the plan is priorities, interest, and needs.
Oh,
What's their
priorities.
priorities? Yeah, interest and needs.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
So one thing we had a free zone frontier meeting this week, and this is gonna develop more, so I'll probably talk about it more as we go along. But he drew a circle at the bottom, a little bitty circle, and it was the word striving.
Mm.
And at the top, you drew an arrow. At the top was a bigger circle, and he wrote the word there.
Oh,
THR, like you're there, right? You're not striving, you're there. And circles all around the there and the word expanding. So if you think about it, striving is where a lot of times it's your ego, it's your aggression, it's your hunger, it's your fear. You know, a lot of things happen when you're striving.
yep.
Right. But if what we could do is say, we're there and I'm just going to expand there. I mean, this is kind of deep. It's one of those where Dan brings it out and you're like, okay, I think I get a little bit of it, but I don't really get it. But the more I think about it, the more I see it, the more it's going to grow on me. But I was thinking about even in these conversations, if you're there as a leader, it's real easy to kind of know, okay, I need to expand on my leadership. So I need to develop my skills on conversations. I need to think before I say things. I need to, you know, be clear and concise. I need to give specific examples. I need to use common words like, you know, not defending word, not words that make people, you know, get all up in arms. Right. And that's the part I think I need to work more is understanding. And one of the things I like about this book is she says words to use and words not to use.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
After each chapter. So that really helps because sometimes I think we're using the words without even realize we're using the words.
I'd love to know what some of those are. I'm gonna have to order that book. I have like 4 books I'm trying to read right now, so this is gonna be a 5th, but I'll need it.
Well, this one, what I've been doing, because I've been trying to get in like 12,000 steps every day. So I've been listening to it, but I went ahead and ordered the book.
Yep.
So here's I'll give you this one example. I can't remember what chapter this is from, but words to lose. My agenda. It's ridiculous to expect us to focus so late at night. So this is about my agenda, right? Words to use would be our agenda. Let's agree to give each other our full attention for the next 15 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. Words to lose would be, and this says lecture, you need to put things aside and listen up. So let's say I was trying to get people to listen. I'd say, you know, I wouldn't want to say you need to put things aside and listen up. What I would say is, look, learn, lift, and level. Let's turn cameras on so that we can connect face to face. So just a different way you say it. And what I would do is wait till I was so mad that they had the cameras off. I'd say that other.
Totally.
Y'all need to listen up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then this one is preoccupied and undevoted attention. That's the title. I have to get up at 6 tomorrow and I'm already exhausted. That's, you know, words to lose. Words to use. And this is present, undivided attention. I will give people my eyes and ears and full focus. Okay. And then digital devices out. Ping, let me see what that notification was about. Boy, don't we all do that. And then the words to use would be digital devices away. Folks, we'll wrap up around 9:15 for now. Can we agree to put our phones away?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So just thinking through what are ways to get people to do the things you need to do without using words that don't get us there.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's good. Really, really, really good. Gosh, and now I'm just thinking too about the Dan thing, the striving versus there.
Yeah.
Because we get caught in a striving mindset a lot of times. Like constantly trying to be somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you want to be there in all these different things.
And there doesn't mean you're not well, I don't want to use striving. You're not
achieving.
It doesn't mean that. It just means it's different than the striving. And I can feel the way striving felt and it didn't feel good. I always kind of say, well, maybe this is kind of like 2x and 10 is more like there.
Yeah.
When I really think about it.
Yep.
10, 2X man, I'm just striving, I'm grunting, I'm really working hard and feels impossible. It feels hard, feels, everything doesn't feel great. And then 10X is, yes, I'm building my business and I'm expanding, but I'm doing it but I'm there. So I'm not really trying to get somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to keep playing with this one because I really think it's going to be one of the best ones, but he just whipped it up. So I haven't had like 2 days to kind of let it mull in my brain and think about it. But I did kind of think about it I think people that are striving to be leaders are going to make all these mistakes in the things they say.
Yep.
But if you can say, I understand conversations are important and I'm going to spend time and energy and I'm going to figure out how to do them correctly. And I'm not going to get it perfect. It's going to take me forever to do it, but I'm going to keep working at it. Then you can feel more like when a conversation like that comes up, you're there, you've had practice, you've learned, you've had experiences. I'm just going to expand my leadership with this conversation. I'm not going to botch a relationship or an opportunity because I haven't understood how important what I say is and words that I should lose and words that I should use.
Yeah. Do you without, my dog's there. There you go, nuts. Without, giving away people, can you give like an example of something?
Yeah, let me think about it for a second. Okay, so in a particular example, I feel like the person wasn't clear on, they had not decided, or maybe they had decided what the outcome wanted to be, but they didn't know how to make that clear. So what'll happen is instead of being clear and concise, they'll throw something in. You'll be thinking you're making progress, and then they'll throw something in. You're like, what the heck? We're not making any progress at all, right? Because I think either it's not going the direction of the outcome they wanted, or they're not clear about the outcome that they want. I'm just trying to think of some specific ones. I've seen this many, many times. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
But
So
I
that's what
think
I was
not being clear, like before I get on a call, I should say, okay, I'm going to be open and I'm going to be curious,
Yeah.
but what are my ideal outcomes? And my ideal outcome may be, okay, maybe it is to end the relationship,
Yeah.
but I could learn something in the conversation that makes me realize I didn't have all the facts and I've made a decision based on stuff that wasn't really accurate or it was just somebody else's perception or whatever.
Yep.
So to keep the relationship going, what would have to happen? It's about being clear about, because what you want to do is not be so clear. I mean, so when you get on, especially if you're looking for clarity, and if you haven't had any conversation with them, you have to be looking for some clarity because there is their side of the story.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to take that in consideration. Otherwise, good Lord, you could be making half-cocked decisions. Right. So I think being clear about, okay, where I sit right now, I want to end this relationship. But if I learn things differently, or if I can get this behavior to change, then I would be willing to move forward. So I think in just having clarity around that, because I know, I think I've even done this myself years ago when I was just very immature leader. I'd be like so adamant about getting certain things in the conversation that really don't even matter. If you could just focus on results, what I want the results to be, what I want the end result to be. And then where do I need clarity and where do I need to let them say from where they sit what's happened?
Yep.
If I don't have firsthand knowledge, and then I still might have firsthand knowledge, but I might be perceiving it wrong because I'm tainted in my view of these people or this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering, like, one, how much expectation setting comes into play on the front end, and two, like, we've talked about this so many times too, but like, does a person's track record come into play? Which I think you might have said that, like, is it pattern? Is it a pattern that keeps happening? So I guess that would be the same thing as maybe a track record. Or is it like totally out of the blue for somebody to be acting this way and there's no track record or pattern of it ever happening before?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you would definitely put those things into consideration. But yeah, I still think you have to be careful because when I'm sitting at 30,000 feet watching other people's thing play out, I can see how even their perception can be wrong sometimes.
Mm,
You know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
they say it's one of the parts of fierce conversation is, trying to find the truth. Really, the
Yep.
whole goal should be to try to find the truth
Yep.
and being open to, you might change my mind about this whole situation. And I hope you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We go in thinking that we go in going, I know exactly, and they're doing this, or she's doing this, or he's doing this, or they are doing this, whatever, whoever the person is.
Yeah. I
And
think.
it's not open to,
Mhm.
the whole story not being exactly the whole story.
Yeah. I think a big piece of that is like staying out of judgment because it's
Yeah.
hard not to
And
sometimes.
deep into curiosity, hoping
Yeah.
that, but again, I think if you can just say, you can go to a place where I'm just here for the ideal outcome. And the ideal outcome is always good. It's
Yeah.
nothing bad. Then I can probably be open a little bit more to my perception being wrong, or maybe somebody else's perception who's brought it to my attention being wrong.
Yep. Totally. Yep. Yep. Yeah, definitely. I can totally see that. I'm just thinking now of just different instances in my mind where this is
Well,
happening.
and two, I think, asking yourself about the trivial, because when I listen to sometimes when I listen to them, I'm like, really, does that really matter? I mean, seriously, you're
Yeah.
gonna put a flag on that?
Yeah.
Uh, but and I have to watch myself that I don't plant my own flag on stuff. I'm like, is that even worth?
Hmm.
I think I'm trying to remember what I was doing. Oh, with Jimmy, I think I was nagging at him about something. But seriously, I mean, how would I feel if he was nagging at me like that? I mean, you sometimes you just got to stop yourself and say, seriously, what am I doing here? This is silly. This is serving no one. Jimmy's like,
So
oh, I'm
true.
so glad you had that aha.
So true, Jimmy. I heard him laugh in the background. You know what? I was just thinking too, sometimes like I don't know. I think like I just had this conversation with a person that I coach and we were talking about somebody and how the effects were like it was kind of making her get in a bad mindset about her own business. But we ended up at the end kind of talking about how sometimes like you can resolve a relationship, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a partner or in business with that person or decide to go down like a deeper path. You can resolve something for the outcome of like a temporary situation, or whatever, but you don't have to necessarily, it doesn't mean you have to like join up with them and go into business with them. I mean, there's different levels, I feel like, of relationships too, based off of the way that you feel about these things.
Well, and I think you should ask yourself, I can promise you this, um, unless it's toxic and doing damage right now, more damage is done to end a relationship than it is to try to, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's been relationships in my life that there was no choice. We are ending this relationship. It's bad, right? Thank God not many of those, but if I can salvage them and go on and do about what I need to do,
Yep.
then I'm going to do my best to do that, because it's really weird. I've actually seen great things come back around later,
Mhm.
in my own experiences and others, where yes, whatever we were doing didn't work out, but later in life, they either became an advocate for me, or they became a
Yeah.
big fan, or they became somebody who I had an opportunity to do something else with, and that was a better fit or whatever. So I just think we have to be so careful and
Yeah.
put relationships like on the highest pedestal we possibly could, even if we think at the time. I just feel like we get a lot of things wrong. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's from listening to other people. I don't
Yep.
know if it's from our own, stories we make up in our head, but I think I would just automatically assume I probably have this story wrong somewhere. So
Hmm.
let me go try to figure out where I might have it wrong.
Yep. Yep.
And then I think that we'll all come out better. And then I think the other thing is, I know for me, the minute I catch myself saying something or watching the other person's face as I say something and go, oh goodness, this is not, not quite the outcome I was looking for, then where do I need to go back and work on me? What else do I need to work on as a leader? Because I want to make people feel even if it's a hard conversation, I want them to feel great about the conversation when it's over. I want that
Yeah.
relationship to be enriched, not damaged, if you
Yep.
will. And it's
Yeah.
so easily damaged.
I think that's an area of opportunity for all leaders. I mean, I feel like all leaders are trying to get better, because as a leader, your biggest issue is people. But I mean, you aren't a leader if you don't have the people. And anytime you're dealing with people, it brings, there are times where you're going to have issues and concerns. And I mean, last week I felt like, how you had actually, somebody said to me, two different people have said to me, when I listened to the podcast and Linda said she had the worst day ever, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm normal. Remember when
Yes,
I
for
said
sure.
it? Yeah, and we were just laughing about it last week when I was in the region. But I mean, you have those days where, there's so many conversations that you have to have, and you're always hoping that you don't say the wrong thing, or that the outcome comes out the right way. Or for me, I'm always like, Lord, please let it come out how I'm intending for it to come out, instead of a totally another way that you don't want them to see. But
Or you're on a good path and then you get triggered
yes.
by something. I did think of one I had about a year ago, and the first thing I think of is the story was so messed up, but I had to be careful because I couldn't throw the other person under the bus.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to unravel some of this stuff. And honestly, after the conversation, I was working so hard to get that person to see it differently, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
I had to call them up afterwards and apologize and said, you know what? You were hurt. You obviously had a lot of emotion about this, and I understand, and I'm glad that you care that much.
Mhm.
And you know what? All I did was I tried to get you to see it differently, and I apologize for that.
Wow.
Because what I should have done is just listen. I
Yeah.
should have just listened to how you were feeling, understood how important this was to you. But you feel it. Once you kind of start focusing on this, your gut will tell you, oh, Linda, you did not do that right, and you need to go fix that.
Yeah.
Sooner better than later. Don't let it go for years that you feel like that you've. And I said to someone recently, I said, I hope I've grown as a leader, but I remember a conversation I had with you years ago, and I just want to apologize for that. I
Yeah.
didn't first understand. I just blew off the handle, and I assumed and believed every story that was out there and never bothered to get your side in. For that, I want to apologize. And that person, that meant a lot to them.
Yeah.
And tears in their eyes. And I'm thinking, okay, how many years have I let this person
Yeah.
be offended by this when I could have corrected it quickly?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody faults you for saying, hey, you know what? We all screw up. And as a leader, I'm working to be better always, but I'm going to mess up some. And when
Yeah,
I
but
do, I hope I can notice it faster.
I think that's what great leaders do, though, because we are all going to mess up. What does John Maxwell say? We're all just one decision away, one stupid decision away from disaster.
Yes. Yes. Well, I I learned that to be true when Mo at 85, I think, calls me and tells me, oh God, I screwed up. And I'm like, oh my God, you mean at 85, we're still going to screw up? Mo, this is the worst call I could have gotten today. I thought I was going to have it perfect by then.
So true. I do
Not
think
well in.
this is the only last thing comment that I have, and then I can't wait to go to Amazon and order this book to add it to my list. But I think too, maybe knowing your triggers in advance could be helpful, because as you're saying that, I'm sitting here thinking I know certain things that trigger me just from being triggered by them multiple times over and over. So I try to watch for those. Like one of my big ones, I am very fiercely loyal of the people that are close to me. And so if someone starts to say something about one of those, even if it could be true,
Yeah.
I'm quick to be triggered.
Yes.
Whoa,
Yes.
wait a minute. You aren't going to talk about me and talk about them in front of me, because that's that I don't, but really I think maybe
God, I hope it wasn't me.
no.
I'm just kidding.
But
Honestly, that was the thing that triggered me when I told you a week or two ago, whenever I was in a meeting and I didn't say anything. That was what triggered me. Was
Wow.
loyalty. Oh, there's a great, oh God, you got to watch this documentary. It's about Giannis, who played for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, you have to watch it. And if all of us had the loyalty and the humbleness and the gratitude that this guy had,
Wow.
we'd be winning championships.
Oh,
But you have
good.
to
I love documentaries on sports. I cannot wait. I'll watch it tonight.
Oh yeah, but get your tissue out. I'm on the plane bawling my eyeballs out, and Jimmy goes, "What is wrong with you?" And
Oh
I'm,
no.
oh my God. Oh, it was terrible. So I had to watch, and I have another one that's really good that you have to watch afterwards that is so good about mental health illness and just how to get yourself, how to be grateful for what we have. Because some of the people in the other countries with so much less are happier than our statistics are saying we are. Okay, so this
Yeah.
other one is oh, it was so good too. I watched it second because I'm like, I'm bawling my eyes out. I gotta try to laugh or something. Okay, call Hugh Van CUYLENBURG, and the acronym is GEM,
Oh.
GEM, gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness.
Oh, that's good.
It's so good too.
Oh,
So
I'll
both
have
of them
to
are
add
good, but
both
watch
of those.
the Giannis one first.
Oh yeah, I will. I love stuff like that. I love documentaries. I can't wait to watch that.
I think when you talk about triggering, one of the things I've noticed too is like if I go into a conversation, I feel like it's kind of heavy, and you almost kind of get this feeling of like, oh, I don't even want to do this. It's just so convoluted and so much emotion. It just doesn't. Those are the ones where you kind of have to catch your breath a minute and think, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel like it's going to be easy or good or anything, but I have to try. But I know when I go into ones where they're like emotional and just no, but we're not getting anywhere. And you just kind of feel that feeling of, oh God, do I even want to do this? You should just breathe and go, okay, it's still worth it. Even though it feels like it's going to be impossible. That's where having great skills, I think that's where bringing people, if you got two people arguing like that, I think bringing them to, hey, we're here to figure out a resolution and dissolve or to continue or whatever we're here to do. I think if you can be clear enough to see that, even if you're one of the people in the conversation, then you can help get it out of that mucky mud emotion place that doesn't feel very good for anybody.
Yeah, totally agree. Yep, totally agree. Yep, you're giving me an idea of three people that I need to pull together right now.
Yeah. And I tell you, a great time to see this is when you observe other people. It's harder to see when you're in a conversation yourself, but watching other people in it, it's so easy to see. But you could also take these same rules if you were the one kind of mediating the conversation. And like, let's say someone just goes on and on about something. You could stop them and say, hey, okay, hang on one second. Could you give us some clarity here? What are some clear, concise examples of that? 9 times out of 10, they don't have them, but at least it makes them understand that if they don't have them, they should question what they're thinking.
They should be thinking, yep. Yeah.
So true. So, okay. All right. Well,
awesome.
that
Well,
was
I can't wait
fun
to read
this week.
I can't wait to read the book. So
They're really
talking on eggshells.
Yeah, talking on eggshells, soft skills for hard conversations. It's really good. I like listening to it when I'm walking, but I also like the book because it has the back pages of words to not use. I mean, things to not use, words to not use, and then words to use. So,
yep, love it. Awesome.
And her name is Sam Horn. I'm going to have somebody reach out and let's try to get her on the podcast. I think it's really, really good stuff we could all use.
That'd be great. Awesome. Let's do it.
Especially even dealing with buyers and sellers, right?
Oh yeah.
Words to use and words not to use.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.